Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, we're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case out of Pima County, Arizona. And tonight, we're talking about, does the FBI know what's up? What's up with these mixed messaging? And a lot more to talk about on the other side of this.
I've walked through storms in scars and grace. Smile through pain with a painted face.
Sing it if you know it.
They called me too loud, too much, too strong. But honey, that's the reason I belong. Every scar's a scripture, every tear's a hymn. I found my worth where the light grew dim. They tried to break me, but here's a twist. I turned my pain into a clenched fist. I'm an unbreakable woman, born of fire and pearl. I shine like grace in a reckless world. You can test my faith, you can shake my plan, but I'll rise again. Just watch me I've been whispered about and written off, judged by the gloss, not the cause. But God don't build weak hearts from gold. He made me fierce and he made me bold. I bend, I pray, I roar, I rise with mascara, tears and battle cries. Don't need your crown, I forge my own. From ashes, honey, I build my throne. I'm in a unbreakable storm, dressed in truth and bold. The fire don't scare me, it lights my world. You can doubt my voice, but you'll hear my name. I'm holy and heard, and I'm done with shame. For everyone called too much, too loud, too real. You're not to anything. You're exactly what power looks like. I'm an unbreakable soul through the fight and flame. My scars are stories, my strength, my faith. Faith in my heart, fire in my clothes, forever divine. Clutch them pearls.
Let's go. Maybe.
Hold up, lights on, chat in the room, another late night, and another headline blooming. Coffee gone cold, but the story got heat, and one little detail keep tapping my screen. Coming in clutch, when the timeline bends, we don't just scroll, we connect loose ends. Somebody said, nah, that's probably enough, but the chat said, Justin, we're coming in clutch. Run that back, don't rush that part, something fell wrong from the very first start. Different day, same shaky excuse, and the math ain't mathin' when we check the proof. I'm not here to play detective for fame, I'm here when the story starts changing names. One clip, one call, one post too much, and the whole room knows we're coming in clutch. Coming in clutch, yeah, the facts stay loud. Truth don't hide when we bring the crowd. Screens lit up and the chat don't sleep. We dig real deep where the stories get steep. Pearls in the chat, lights in the back. Somebody better explain why the story went flat. You can dodge one question, maybe dodge two. With the internet clock, what you said don't cue. Wait. Say that again, you said it was there, then it wasn't back then. You said you forgot, but the record got saved. Now the chat's wide awake and the room just changed.
Coming in clutch when it all gets strange, when the facts get buried and the tone starts change. We don't need drama, the truth does enough, that's why they pull up, we're coming in clutch.
Late night crew, yeah, we built this thing. One live stream turned to a whole damn ring. Members in green miles holding it down. Whole chat moving like a small town crowd. No fake hype, no lazy spin, just one more clue when we're back again. If it don't sit right, we don't let it slide. We put the detail right up on live.
Coming in clutch, say it one more time. Whole room locked on the very next line. From the first red flag to the final touch, you know where to be, we're coming in clutch.
When the screen fades out and the night gets still, somebody somewhere knows truth comes real. We'll be right here when the next facts drop. Coming in clutch and we don't just stop.
And how you doing? Good to see you all. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really do appreciate your time. Could have chosen to be anywhere on YouTube. You have a lot of options. Anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, and you chose to be right here. I know your time is very valuable, and I do appreciate you spending some time with me. Today is July 9th, 2026. It is currently 7 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. Good to see you all. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. We're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case out of Pima County, Arizona. There has been so much going on lately. We've been, of course, covering Javia's case and Jack and Lily's case. What did I do? Oh, Jack and Lily's case, and we've been covering the 16 children found in Ohio, and then, of course, Nancy Guthrie case and all that. And it has just been a lot of different cases, but I haven't got to talk about Nancy in several days now. Not that there's been like this exceedingly amount of information coming out of Nancy's case. It's very, very quiet. The last thing we know that Derek was, he was in court, pled guilty. They say that it, is not really, do you think it really has anything to do with Nancy or not? I think he's still weird and all that. So we're going to see. But tonight we're going to be looking at, one thing, and I'm glad Brian Enton, is addressing this now. And one thing that I have said from the jump on this case is there is the only thing that has been consistent in the Nancy Guthrie case is that there has been inconsistency in reporting. And Brian really talks about this. So we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But guys, before we get started, if you would be so kind, please do me a big favor and hit that thumbs up button. Would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you would share this live stream out, hit that share button, copy that link, drop it in any of your favorite social media. Also, if you would consider hyping this video, you get 3 hypes a week on YouTube. If you don't use it, you lose it. So consider hyping this video. It has to be on your mobile or, your mobile device, your phone, your tablet, anything after the live stream, all of that good jazz. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. We would love to earn your subscription. So really do appreciate you guys for that. Good to see you. 603, hello darling, good to see you. Justin, I saved the hype for your Nancy live. Thank you so much, darling. Appreciate you very much. Peace. Good to see you. Miss Leslie, always keeping it real. Miss Robin, good to see you, baby. Patty, hello. I hope Miss Sherry's okay. I don't see Sherry in here today. Michelle, good to see you, my darling. How you doing? Miss Connie, good to see you. Carol, they come out again Monday. Good to see you, Miss Carol. Good, thank you, love. Miss Patty, hello. Brandy and Indy, how you doing, girl? Miss Connie, Michelle, hello, darling. Lisa, Patty, Tina, good to see you. There's my Ratui. How you doing, baby? Good to see you. Connie, green eyes, there's my loves. Miss Peggy, Tina, thank you so much, darling. Appreciate you. 603 train wreck. Darling, good to see you. Who else we got up in here? Lady for Justice, how you doing, girl? Good to see you, babes. Good to see everyone. Justin, we need more hypes. We got to tell YouTube that. You got to tell YouTube. We need more hypes, YouTube. So we're going to get to it. Also, I want to talk about someone put this in a chat or on what's that Facebook, and I want to show you something on there as well. Made it just in time tonight. You did, Babs. You are here. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Hey, Max. Good to see you, my friend. Connie, TGUN. Good to see you. I'm so paranoid about saying the GUN button now because they'll freaking take your live stream down. Otherwise, if you say the stuff anymore. It's crazy. I want to talk about our friend Chris McDonough from the interview room was live last night. We might go over some of that if we get some time for it as well. Pamela, good to see you, my friend. Is your thoughts changed on the Guthrie case? Are you still pretty much where you've always been? I want to hear what you guys have to say in chat and down comments below as well after for the replay as well. Donna Smith, 19 months. That is rock star. That is legendary. That is amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Miss Donna. I appreciate you, my dear. Really, really do appreciate you. Thank you for your continued support, my dear. Good to see you, my love. I noticed more channel lives are now saying pew pew too. Yeah, they've really tightened down a lot of it. Hey, Brenda, good to see you, my friend. Guys, I next week is my birthday. It's the my birthday's the 15th. So I may be out of town for a couple days next week. I'm not sure yet. We're planning some stuff, so I'll let you guys know. I just wanted to let. Is Sherry in here? There's Miss Sherry. Where you been, girl? We missed you earlier. So I'll let my mods and you guys know if I'm out next week. I'll probably go live even if I am on vacation. I usually do of the evening, but we will see. We'll see. Mine is on the 13th. Your birthday's the 13th. You're a Cancer too. Happy early birthday, Tony. Good to see you, baby. Dreamcatcher, 27 months, girl. Love you to pieces. You're an OG. Over 2 years. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Dreamcatcher. Really appreciate you. Thank you, Patty. Good to see you, babies. You have the same birthday as my son, and he's turning 21, just like Justin. Yes, I'm turning 21. Turning 21 years of age. I mean, I'll finally be able to drink and, all of that stuff. I can't help it. I'm turning 21, but who knew? Happy birthday to your son. Your daughter's the 13th. We got a lot of people in here. Oh my gosh, when did we start? We started 12 minutes ago. 12 minutes ago. Just started. You're a Cancer too. July 21st. Happy birthday. My pup's birthday's the 17th. Aw. That's amazing. Lots of Julys in here. I'm really glad my birthday's in the summertime. I'm not a winter person at all. Yours is December 14th, Carol. I don't know. Maybe if I lived in like Florida or somewhere else, I wouldn't mind if my birthday was like maybe in December. My dad would be 100 today. Oh, thank you. Bless him. Your husband's the 17th. Nice. Lots of Julys in here. Okay. I want to go to our friend Brian Ensign. I've got some things I want to talk on that. Come on down to Florida. I want to be one of those people that moved to Florida, Tanya. Or Texas. As long as it's warm of the winter, I don't really care. But Florida or Texas. I'm one of those annoying people that, move to where you guys are because I don't like the weather. Thank you, Hammond, too. Good to see you, baby. My grandbaby's sweet 16 was on the 4th of July. Oh my gosh, Kat, that's amazing. Not Texas? Why? Why not Texas? There's a lot of people, a lot of Californians moving to Texas. It's crazy. It's crazy. My family, a lot of my family lives in Texas, and I was in Texas for a little bit, going to school there and stuff, but long time ago. But when my family first moved to Texas years and years, decades ago at this point, the town that they lived in was so tiny, and now it's huge. It's crazy. Yeah, you don't want to be in my part of Texas. It gets cold in the panhandle. Yeah. North Texas, it does gets a little chilly. It does. Okay, guys, let's get it started. Just one of my sons just started the police academy. Really? Congratulations. That's amazing. Wishing him all the best and success in all that, Tanya. That's amazing. Yes, there is. Hello. Yes, it depends on what state you live in and all that as well. Yeah, that is true. Okay, Michelle, my son lives there, graduated college. Awesome. All right, guys, let's get it started. We're going to go to Brian Inton on this disagreement within the FBI on Nancy Guthrie motive. And listen, like, we have heard a lot of different inconsistencies in the reporting, right? From, one person will get sources from here, the other person will get sources from here. But one thing that really makes me nervous. Yeah, Jennifer. Yeah, we played it earlier, baby. It was just terrible. Terrible. What happened to Jimmy? But one thing that makes me a little nervous about what they are saying here, if this, again, and I fully trust Brian's reporting. Oops, wrong one. I fully trust Brian's reporting, but for instance, if there is mixed what they think, right? Disagreement within the FBI, that makes me nervous. Because if we look at Sebastian Rogers' case, and I was really, really involved in Sebastian Rogers' case, still am. But in that case, it seemed like the FBI and the TBI and local law enforcement was disagreeing on what happened. And if, the police or, they can't agree on the way that the case is going, kind of makes you nervous. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it makes me a little nervous on that. So, but, hopefully they will have the evidence that will lead them all in that direction. But let's see what Brian has to say, because I got a lot more commentary on this that we're going to dig into, shall we say. So credit's going to go to our friend and yours, Mr. Brian Inton. Make sure you sub up to Brian. I'm sure most of you are. Mods will drop that link. Link will be provided in the description as well. Here we go.
That they were fake, which surprised me based on what I was hearing from my sources.
Back up a little bit here.
Reuters, I mean, they've been wrong about some things in the past, but for the most part, they're legit. They put out a report, according to sources, law enforcement sources, that the FBI had come to the conclusion that none of the notes were real, so that they were fake, which surprised me based on what I was hearing from my sources, because it was kind of the opposite. And it also just surprised me that they would put that out with such like a stamp on it. Like,
right.
how could anyone in law enforcement really know if there's no suspect? And they really haven't made a ton of progress.
Exactly. How can you know if something is fake if you have no suspect? Now, I really think that they absolutely have a suspect in Nancy's case. I believe they're building a case, but we just got to see.
In terms of figuring out who the suspect is based on what I've been told, like, how would they be able to say for sure that the notes are fake? So I was skeptical of the report from the beginning, but interested in it because it was Reuters and because, they are legit. So anyway, where we are now, and this is kind of interesting, is I was anchoring on News Nation on Friday night, which I'm going to play you the clip, and I interviewed Mark Garagos again. You remember I had him in my episode at the end of last week. Mark
Garagos, he did really good.
Garagos is the famous criminal defense attorney, but he's also very, very well sourced within law enforcement and the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him on last week on the podcast, but then he was on News Nation again when I was anchoring on Friday night. And he had some information about what he says has been happening behind the scenes with the FBI that explains how these different reports came out. And you're going to hear him explain it. And he kind of talked about it in my episode last week, but he went even farther when he was on News Nation. He says that based on his sources, someone within the FBI made a mistake, that they messed up testing the Bitcoin account, that there was someone that was supposed to be testing the Bitcoin account related to the ransom notes to try and trace the location, and that they made a mistake.
In testing out this Bitcoin account. Now that really, how did they fuck that up? I'm just gonna be a little blunt there. How did they fuck that up?
And that person or that part of the FBI that was in charge of that leaked the information to Reuters, trying to, I guess, in a sense, he says, cover up the mistake that they made. But then after that leak to Reuters, other parts of the FBI came forward, and there was actually the official statement. So the official statement from the FBI came out saying, no, we are still investigating some of these.
Again, because I just can't. Everyone that covers true crime or that reports on true crime, the FBI does not speak. They don't ever come out. Never come out and speak. So when they spoke up and said, yeah, we are still investigating this, everyone was like, what? But again, like I always say, if they don't actually have someone in mind or someone's in mind, how do they know what is fake, what is real, all that? They know, in my opinion, because I believe this person, in my opinion, that is speaking to TMZ, I believe they're real. I do. A lot of people don't, but I do.
Notes as possibly being legitimate. So I know it's
first two ransom letters, absolutely.
But listen to what Mark said to me. This was Friday night, and I think it kind of like explains it a little better. But Mark, what do you mean by? So you're thinking the person who leaked the info saying that the notes were not real was trying to cover themselves. What do you mean by that?
Well, because one of the kind of working theories going on right now is the theory about the Bitcoin and the kidnapping for ransom. It appears now that the working theory is that this was a kidnap for ransom, and that there was something that was done initially to test the Bitcoin and the wallet, and that there was a misstep during that kind of reverse engineering.
I don't believe this was a kidnapping for ransom, though. I don't.
Of the Bitcoin. And what I'm told is there was actually a test done to see if they could trace back to that wallet, that somebody did not follow up on that in real time the way they should have. They now believe, based on the subsequent notes that have come out, that somebody knows something who's out there, a so-called Confederate, and that the person who kind of screwed up initially was the source for the Reuters story.
Absolutely,
and the people who now have figured that out and now give credence to the subsequent notes are who drove the issuance of the FBI statement that came out, like you said, and like I've suggested, is somewhat unprecedented in this investigation.
Interesting to hear Mark explain it, and clearly, look, that's according to his sources. All I've been able to confirm from my sources is that they believe that the ransom notes could possibly still be real. And again, I'm talking about the first two specific ones, but
the FBI will not come out and say those ransom notes are 100% real, even if they know they're 100% real. They'll just say they're investigating, right? They know that some ransom letters are fake, but they don't know the other ones are fake or real. Come on, folks.
It's interesting what Mark's sources are saying, and it does kind of make sense when you think about why someone would leak that they are totally fake, but then you would have the FBI come out with a statement saying that they still believe they could be legitimate. And by the way, even the FBI putting out that statement saying that, and also saying that this is still a kidnapping for ransom investigation, and that's what they said, kidnapping for ransom in that official statement, is rare. We haven't heard from the FBI in months, really. We haven't seen any official statements. Yes, we've got some leaks here and there, and everybody's been talking to their sources. But in terms of an official statement coming out, we haven't had that happen in a while. So it obviously ticked them off, I think, that Reuters report came out, because I don't think it's true. And it caused them to put out that new statement. So we'll see how it all, who knows whether the ransom notes are true or not, honestly. But I know that they are still investigating them as possibly being legit. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up, and I thought it was interesting what Mark said. The other thing that's new is the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, did another interview with KOLD, which is the local TV station in Tucson, Arizona. KOLD is one of the stations that received the ransom notes. So they've been kind of like involved in the investigation in a way. And Sheriff Nanos hasn't really been doing, I've been asking for interviews, obviously. He hasn't done one with me since the very beginning. He hasn't done many interviews at all. There was a People magazine interview he did that kind of popped up. But I'm always interested when he does interviews, and it seems like he likes KOLD and continues to do interviews with them once in a while. So there was a new interview that he did with KOLD, and most of it was kind of the same thing. I watched the whole thing. It was like 10 minutes long. It wasn't really that detailed. Most of it was just him still saying they're combing through, tips, and people should reach out to the sheriff's office, and kind of the same thing we've heard. No real mention of specific progress in the investigation. But there was something that I zeroed in on that he said, and that was about the DNA, about the progress they're making with the DNA. And I want to play that for you, and then I'm going to tell you why I found that to be significant.
Good point, Ginger.
Well, we've talked a lot about DNA, and I can't get into it real specific, but we have a lot of DNA that we're still working with the labs. And the labs are, they've been incredible. It's not just our lab and FBI lab. These are labs across the country, and they understand way better than the sheriff DNA and concepts and new technology that's coming or that exists, and says, hey, we have this DNA, but it's overlapped by 4 other people. Maybe I touch this pad and 3 of us touch that pad. We get DNA, but there's 4 that you got to separate. And it's that kind of conversation of from one lab to the other. How did you guys deal with this? How would you handle that? And then of course you've got genealogy, and those have a different set of rules, if you will, and science behind it to say how they can for the gift, babe. Appreciate you. It's probably a lot more complex than that, but I just am assured daily that those labs, our teams, the FBI, are working on it constantly.
So that was Sheriff Nanos talking about the DNA. And what is interesting to me there is it's backing up what some of the experts I've had on have said. And I had one on last week. If you guys want to go, I'll link to that episode below because it was really interesting.
Listen,
but they've all
now the DNA has to be back. It has to be back. There's just nothing that, you can take some time. In this case, the most high profile case in America right now, they've got the DNA sample back. Yes. The rootless hair, that might take a little bit longer. Genealogy will take longer. but they've had so many people working on this. They've got that DNA back fast. Rootless hair, there's only a certain amount of labs in the United States that can do that. There used to be, if it was a rootless hair, they just couldn't do anything about it. Now they can with DNA technology. Yep, 1000%. Yeah, weren't they talking anything about the DNA? He is hiding so much. Absolutely. And they're not telling because it's strategic, right? It's not going to sound good if they say, "Oh, those results, didn't really show us anything or didn't really point us anywhere." And if they do know, they're not going to say, "Well, we've got the DNA back. It's pointing us in a direction." They're just going to be completely quiet about it. Oh, Horsey, bless you, dear. My hope is that Nanos and his team know a ton more. He says we have a ton of DNA, so just kind of have to wait.
Told me, the experts, that it's likely that the DNA has now been sent out to all sorts of different labs across the country, not just the FBI lab in Quantico and the lab that the Pima County Sheriff's Office
1000%.
uses in Florida.
Now it's
but
been
they
back.
would be using experts from other labs who specialize in specific things. For example, I've told you guys that they have the rootless hair.
Oh,
There's hair that was
snazzy.
found in Nancy's house. There's no root on the hair. It can be more complicated testing it. So it would make sense they'd be sending items like that out to different labs throughout the country with DNA specialists that really cater to those specific things. So that's actually good news that he confirmed that, because all the experts that I've interviewed had hoped that that's what was happening, because it's such an emerging field right now, and there are specialists and scientists that have cutting edge technology in different areas of the DNA world that goes.
Good point. Open-minded, says Justin. That is what I've been saying. If they have the DNA back, Luke is already in CODIS. You would think he would, and that's a fair point. That's a fair point. You would think Luke would be in CODIS because he is a felon. But did Luke ever serve time? I can't remember. I don't know if he ever served. I don't think he ever served time, though, did he? He got out of it.
Even beyond, I'm told, what the FBI can do. So it's good that he said that. And he also mentioned the genealogy. And again, if you go back and look at my episode last week, I got an update from a
We're going to get to Derek next.
He thinks by now all of the testing on that they actually, and it's complicated, so forgive me if I'm just kind of oversimplifying it, but that the coding and the actual, they've actually extracted the DNA off the items, but what's taking so long now is sorting through that, especially when it comes to the genealogy. And there may not be any hits right now in the database, but that doesn't mean that as new people get put into these genealogy databases that there isn't suddenly a hit that pops up and they find someone's second or third cousin or whatever, and then they can trace it back to the suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case. So that's what's happening behind the scenes. But I just thought it was good news that the sheriff sort of backed up what we had suspected was going on, which is that there are different labs working on it, and that they are still working on the genealogy, which is a good thing. So I keep hearing from my friends about how much they love.
There is something very weird about Derek. Now we're going to get to Derek now, and I want to show this thing with Brian, and then we're going to go to something else right after this.
Retired FBI agent Steve Moore, who always has really good analysis of everything going on. And by the way, I'm really interested in what he has to say about the sort of this back and forth with the FBI and the notes, because he understands the inner workings of the FBI so well.
1000%, Sherilyn. Yes. Oh, absolutely. I believe that's one of the main reasons why they went and did this search warrant in the beginning for Luke. Was his DNA. Yeah. So yeah, I guarantee you that they got his DNA while they were there. Simply Real says, also very curious about the electronic data from the cell phones of DC and family members. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if I've got his paperwork. I can pull up his paperwork. I'm just trying to see if I remember his mom writing the judge, but
the last thing I wanted to get to though is this Derek Calleja person who is Derek Calleja is the guy from California who was arrested by the feds for sending the text message.
That is exactly right. That's exactly right. You have to have a DNA profile before genealogy. And that is what is going to make this much more difficult with genealogy, right? Because if you don't have, let's say you are an immigrant and you don't have family in the United States, well, genealogy ain't going to help you that much. Not going to help you because you don't got, distant cousins and aunts and uncles and brothers and all that. And with the names that they're looking at least they were, at the Pew Pew store and all that. Genealogy may not help at all. We've spoken again, and that's exactly a very, very good point. Hello. Because, if this person is, if they're Mexican, there'll probably be some genealogy there. Because there's, now if they're from, the Middle East, Iran, Jordan, any place like that.
Messages to the Guthrie family, the fake Ransom-note text messages. And he was in Tucson where he had to make an appearance in federal court where he wasn't officially sentenced at this point, but the recommendation was made. And he's basically going to get 5 months probation. So he's not getting any jail time. I know there's been some outrage about that, but it sounds like he was on drugs and under the influence and is going to go to rehab. And the judge ultimately decided that he should serve 5 months probation.
Listen, if that would have been you or me that did something like Derek, we would be under the damn jail. He gets 5 months of probation. 5 years. 5 years of probation.
Not necessarily have any jail time. But what's interesting is going through the complaint. There's obviously a federal criminal complaint for Derek Calleja. And it was just interesting going through it because there's like some little nuggets when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie investigation.
Listen.
So he was charged with 2 counts. This is from back in February 4th when he sent the text. Intent to transmit a demand for ransom, and then interstate or foreign communications.
I wonder, and we're going to get a lot more deep into this here in a minute about Derek. I wonder if they're just not telling us something. Does Derek know more when it comes to the Nancy Guthrie case? Did he talk? Did he talk and he got off easier? Or am I being too conspiracy right now? I don't know. There's just something weird about this guy. Something weird about Derek. I don't know. He just seems like the type that would be around Tommaso and Annie. I don't know. I think he's been put in there for his safety to stop him from talking while they carry out investigation. Me too. Me too, Ann. Me too, girl. Oh, no, not Brian. Did you see some of those court documents have been sealed? 1,000%. Yeah. Thing like a canary. Yep. Mm-hmm. He also gets put into inpatient rehab. They try to make me go to rehab. I said no. Plus, there is other things in his plea that's under seal. Why you gotta seal that? Why you gotta seal that? Why are you sealing it? If they ain't nothing. The feds are kind of light on them type of charges. Pleading guilty is different from a plea deal. That is true. Justin A&T, no Derek for years. With Goth, DJ, and Kiki. I don't know. But he really didn't do anything. Didn't send a ransom note. Well, I mean, he sent text messages and stuff. That's, it's gotten crazy considering true crime about that. Yeah. Whoever did this to Nancy needs to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Oh, I agree with that.
And I'm just going to read this to you. It says, this is within the federal complaint for him, which again is interesting. It says, Nancy Guthrie was last seen inside a residence in the Catalina Foothills community outside Tucson, Arizona on January 31st, 2026. And they just use her initials, by the way, NG. NG is an 84-year-old woman with mobility issues that likely preclude her from walking long distances unassisted. On the morning of February 1st, 2026, a friend of NG's contacted the victim's family and notified them that NG had not attended church that morning. At approximately noon on February 1st, 2026, NG's family entered her residence and determined that she was missing and reported her disappearance to law enforcement. Law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that NG had left basic essentials inside her home, including her wallet, car, cell phone, hearing aid, and medication. It's interesting, the hearing aid is in there. I do
have a PayPal.
NG's blood was found outside the house of her residence near the porch.
Find it, though.
On February 2nd, 2026, KOLD, a CBS affiliate in Tucson, Arizona, received a ransom demand via their online tip portal. The demand listed a Bitcoin wallet address to receive the ransom payment. On February 4th, 2026, NG's family published a video asking NG's kidnappers to contact them about their mother. Okay, now it explains the counts. On or about February 4th, 2026, shortly after the video was published, AC and TC, the daughter and son-in-law of NG, both separately received text message from the following number, and it blocks the number out, stating, "Did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction." AC and TC received these texts while in Arizona. Law enforcement was able to determine through an open source method that the number was associated with a voice over internet protocol text and call application that allows users to obtain another phone number for their mobile device separate from the number assigned to them by their wireless carrier. So it sounds like he used a fake number. Law enforcement submitted an emergency disclosure request based on the records provided. They got an email address, and then the records also indicated that the number had been accessed from an IP address. So they were tracking the number for this Derek guy. Law enforcement submitted an emergency disclosure request to the internet provider, and then they got an address associated with Kayeya's residence in California. So you see how quickly they can do that when they need to. After Miranda warnings, Kayeya admitted to sending the 2 text messages. He admitted using VoIP account from which 2 actual text messages came from. Kayeya stated that he pulled family information from a cyber website and that he had been following along and watching TV. When he said that text message, he was trying to see if the family would respond. Data received shows that approximately 3 minutes after the text messages, Kayeya called a family member of NG, which lasted 9 seconds. So he also called. That's interesting. The 2 text messages have not been linked to the ransom demand. So that's the official federal complaint against Derek.
Okay, so we're going to go to our friends, the interview room, because they talk more about Derek, and I got some commentary that I want to talk about that. Very interesting. Dr. Gary, of course, our friend Josh, and John Lamb, and of course Chris is on there. Want to show you some things here. Yeah, oops, wrong one. Here we go. The interview room. Oh. Okay, here we go. Thank you so much, Miss Ginger. Appreciate you, darling. Thank you so much. No one with that hairdo and those earrings is going to try to pull off a heist in one of the most high-profile cases in the world. Just my opinion. Yeah, that earring. I don't get that earring. And he's got like horns with his hair. I don't get it. You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that, Ginge. Thank you so much, babe. Appreciate you. Quinn says half of YouTube thinks that A&T are involved. Half of YouTube would send far worse text if they had their numbers. This is the thing. I'm not going to say anybody is involved in this. I do think that there's weird things that is around A&T, but I can't say that they're involved. Did you see the pic of him at the courthouse? Yeah, I showed it. Yeah, he was a little bit more done up. A little bit more done up. Here we go.
Tonight, an amazing treat. But
hazardous duty pay.
Wait 1 second. We're gonna pull up where they start talking about. Okay, watch this.
I think we can all attest to when the family is in the courtroom, and this is such a high-profile situation. You do not ever want to come across the way this was seen. And so I'm just going to play that one little piece for you.
What's going on, Summer? What do you mean, baby?
Get your reaction.
Rule they adopted in Rideau versus Louisiana. It's a 5-4 opinion.
Well, okay.
And I would have.
So this is a thing that's a creator, not a creator. One of you guys said, and it, when it comes to Derek, why? And let's say in this instance, why would Annie and Tommaso have Derek call him? Why would Derek call Annie and Tommaso if he was working with them? Like, that wouldn't make any sense. It would not make any sense if Derek was working with Annie and Tommaso for him to call them. Right? And I know a lot of people feel very strongly about Annie and Tommaso, and there are other people that feel equally as strongly as they are, had nothing to do with it. So, that's a very good point. But again, there's equally as good of points saying that if what's his name, Tommaso, dropped Annie off and went straight home and spent the entire night at home, didn't leave, camera is going to show it, all of that. Why would they take their car for 40 some days if they knew they had nothing to do with it? Why did they go search their house? Like, not just search their house, but forensically search their house. Why did they take their car for 40 some days? Why did they run back there? Why did they look in their neighbors' yards? Why were they looking in the neighbors' homes? Why were they looking in the neighbors' campers? Why were they looking outside of the neighbors? So I completely understand both sides. And the answer is we're missing something. We are missing something. All of us are. We're not getting the full piece of the puzzle, right? It could be that they had their eye on them from jump, and then something later came and their eye is not on them anymore. I don't know. I really don't know. Wasn't Derek high as a kite when he sent those messages? Allegedly. Yes, he was allegedly high as Cooter Brown when he sent those messages. Bingo. Well, look who's in charge. No wonder we're confused. Yes. When you've got Sheriff Doofy, driving around in his little short shorts in his convertible, we're all freaking confused, right? I mean, come on. But it's just one of those things. So either Derek is not involved in any way, shape, or form, or there's just something we're not understanding, right? It's got to be one or the other. Hold on one second. Gotta pull this up right here. Okay. I'll get in a second. Is that the one? 1 second, guys. I apologize. Oh, there we go. Okay.
To sit down with the cases, just like Your Honor probably is wishing it had time to do right now. The court had time to do right now, but it's
Same.
a 5-4 opinion of the United
That's
States.
the defense
Supreme Court
attorney
saying what the holding in Rideau is.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate that guidance, Mr. Novak. So taking into consideration all the factors, the previous edits, starting at I believe I said starting at 6 minutes and 56 seconds, going to
Just listen to this.
just put twigs on the
20
stand.
minutes and 27
Shut
seconds.
this whole
Does that
thing down.
comport what I previously said?
Yes.
All right. And then the other edit is from 3255.
Perhaps if you've
Until
familiarized yourself with the material.
3548. Does that comport with what I previously
Amber,
said?
thank you for your gift, baby.
Yes.
Appreciate
All
you.
right.
Thank you so
And
much.
then from 3548 to the remainder
And
37
thank you so much, darling. Appreciate you.
can be
Very
included.
kind of you.
So
Thank
there
you
is
so
that
much.
gap, but that can be included. And part of the reason in responding to the media, and it's an important point, and to the representative for victim representative Erica Kirk, is I recognize the importance of transparency. I also recognize the importance of balancing constitutional rights, and it is a fine line. One of the reasons why for these edits includes under my analysis under 403, going to the last part, needlessly presenting cumulative evidence. And based off the representation of the state that the text messages may be introduced, the court is ruling that this may be revisited in case that doesn't happen. But to throw back the curtain, much of this is the text messages, to be clear. And again, all of this is going to be considered by the court. I'm balancing all these competing rules,
Okay, this is the
constitutional
part
rights, as
that
well
I'm
as
talking about.
transparency. And sometimes it is an imperfect balancing act, but I'm trying to act in the interest of justice in making this balancing act and for transparency to actually be transparent. And so that is the ruling of the court as it relates to State's Exhibit 16. Turning to the state, do you wish to make the edits as identified by the court and play it tomorrow
Hold on.
to publish it, or
On the videotape is in transition. What's wrong here?
1 second.
Paragraphs to put into them. You can cut and paste various paragraphs. You don't leave all the paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah, shameless plug. And basically what, going back,
John can do it.
I'm going to
Is
do
that
it right because we're talking this. Kalela.
Kalela? Is that Italian? What is it?
Well, it's certainly, I mean, I'm assuming so because it's a common Italian name, but they haven't come out and told us. I suppose it could be, it could be a Spanish name actually, but I'm not sure. But I've heard that in Italian, so I think it means like a little cove. Like a little.
Anybody know what? Yeah, anybody know? We've got different.
I think it could be Italian or Spanish, and I mean like Spain Spanish. But yeah, I'm not sure. But I think it's Italian.
So, I got hold of, as you guys know, I've had the documents, but I wanted to go over them with you guys tonight and kind of get you guys to weigh in. Let me move you, Josh. Let me move you up here.
If it's a Spanish name, we wouldn't say the L's like that.
I'm fine down there.
Hey, yeah, right, yeah.
And but there were a couple of things in here that I thought, well, first of all, this is just your standard issue federal boilerplate. Here, and I know some people, were talking about it that, oh, well, yeah, it's just a boilerplate and it's on a lot of other cases. And that's a true statement. It certainly is. These kind of things, you cut and paste. But the interesting thing about these types of plea agreements, these templates, is you have a choice of what paragraphs to put into them.
Mm-hmm.
You can cut and paste various paragraphs. You don't leave all the paragraphs into the boilerplate plea agreement. Everybody tracking me there on that? Okay. So, and for the audience, so let's say, you're a U.S. attorney and you're going to put together this plea agreement. Well, you have
they'll drop
a boilerplate with,
they'll drop them.
At least, and in this case,
they need to drop juices. That's ridiculous.
At least 26, 27 paragraphs that you can choose from. If not more, there's probably a ton of them. And so then you can take out the ones you don't want, and then they just renumber themselves. So in paragraph number 22, the one I caught the other day, well, first of all, I want to go over paragraph number 30. So that's going to be page 8. All right. Now, we were the first ones on this channel to even talk about this guy in the ether. And it was like lickety split. All of us thought, well, that doesn't look right. Okay. That doesn't feel right. Doesn't look right. Something's wrong here. And so when we get over to paragraph number 30, I'm going to read, and the reason this is so important is the factual basis. These are the facts to the case. All right, it says, I further agree that the following facts accurately describe my conduct in connection with the offense to which I am pleading guilty. And if this matter were to proceed to trial, the government could prove the elements of the offense beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
You'll see there on line 16. If everybody wants to follow along, if you can see it. But this is not meant
Look at this.
to be a complete recital of all facts relevant to the underlying criminal conduct. So what that sentence means.
So it's telling us that we don't know everything that they are telling us in this case. Again, let me do a poll because I want to see, do you think Derek, he spells it with 2 R's, doesn't he, could still be involved in Nancy's case more directly? Yes, no. It's only going to be a yes or no. I want to know, do you think Derek could be involved in Nancy's case more directly? Put a 1 in chat for yes, put a 2 in chat for no. There is no right or wrong answer. There is no right or wrong answer because we certainly don't know. Really? That's amazing. So you're not letting him, most of y'all are not letting him off the hook just yet. Carmelita. Need to go see if Shannon was in any of the... yeah, Brandy. Something's going on with that. If you want to contact me, I'll talk about it. There's... Yeah. I think indirectly involved. He may know something. I feel that it's not a coincidence he called them so fast. But here's the thing. This is the question I ask. If he is involved, then why would he call Tommaso and Annie? That doesn't make sense.
Means right there.
You know what I mean?
Is they are paraphrasing the criminal conduct.
Email me, Brandy.
All right. They're not
weird.
putting every piece in. They're just saying, I'm going to paraphrase what happened. Now, why is this important? Because if we go back to paragraph number 22, which we're going to in a few minutes, paragraph number 22 is the one that jumped out at me loud and clear that there may be something else cooking here.
But Chris, do you have the link to these that you could send the audience?
Okay. I understand. Okay, listen. I get that, AZ man. I get that, to get paid. But why would they say, hey, contact me and let me, after you contact me, I'm going to tell the FBI this man contacted me and said, hey, I want my money. And then obviously the FBI went to look at it and they ended up arresting him. You get what I mean? Derek, let's say he knew Annie and Tommaso and they were working together. And Derek messaged Annie and Tommaso, called them and said, hey, you got the ransom money or whatever. Okay. And then Annie and Tommaso said, we're going to report that. We're going to report that. And they go report that. Well, the FBI obviously is going to look into it. They end up arresting him. That just doesn't make sense. That's the problem. Yes, that they do. Yes. I think that scenario, but push back on it, because I want to hear a pushback on it. Like what your thoughts is if you disagree. I think in that scenario, they asked for a cover story, and he thought he's better at hiding. He did it with a VoIP phone number, and that's just really dumb.
It's because it's too small to read, and I'd like to see if there's anything I'd like to say about it.
No,
I had to download this from the federal court system.
I see.
So I only have the PDF. I can send it to you, Gary, or whoever.
Yeah, because this way we could comment. I mean, in other words, the public can have this if they just know where to download it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to pay for it, but yeah, you can have it.
So maybe it would be good to send it to us so that. Can you guys? Wait, there I am. I said, is it possible to? I'm like, whoosh, what? Like the moment from Bewitched or something. But can you send the
The Wizard of Oz.
I'll have Karen send it over.
Well, I can read it just fine, so don't worry about sending it to me.
Really?
Okay.
Wow. How with those glasses and everything, you can read that? What do you see when you look at a map? Do you see people
I can't
waving?
see it with glasses, let alone without glasses.
There's a certain thing that you could have stopped in childhood, and it wouldn't have made you go blind, Gary.
Okay, I don't want to get too far off while we're thinking about it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get that, but says DC called A&T for payment of his Bitcoin. A&T did not think this would be so big so fast. That is where the family plan failed. It makes sense. But why would they turn the person who asked them for the money in if they were involved? You get what I mean? John is so funny. He's very funny.
Okay, that's it. That coffee is really kicking in. Okay, first of all, paragraph 30, page 8 of 12 up there, line 13. It says all facts relevant to the underlying criminal conduct.
Josh and Dr. Gary are losing their minds right now.
Whenever you see the word or, okay, all facts known to either party that relate to the conduct. Meaning there could be more. There are things right now that we don't know that could reveal themselves. This is important.
They're not going to tell us everything, that's for sure. Miss Sharon, 25 months, partying like a rock star. Thank you so much, Miss Sharon. Appreciate you very much. That's an OG. Really do appreciate you, my love. Good to see you. Thank you so very much. And Miss Donna, I am so sorry I missed this earlier. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you, my dear. Thank you very much for your support. You are a rock star. You and Miss Sharon. Thank you, babies. Appreciate you very much. He's got a good sense of humor, John. He's got a very good sense of humor.
To understand,
and it helps in cases like this
high profile on an agreement like this. Every
Thank
word
you, Amber,
that
for
the
your
U.S.
floating
attorney
gift. Thank you,
picks
love.
is on purpose. That's what I'm going to say here. Every single word the U.S. attorney picks. And that's why putting this clause in there, number 22, is so important. Because here's the facts of the case. Nancy Guthrie was last seen inside her residence in Tucson, Arizona on January 30th, 2026. Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old woman with mobility issues that likely preclude her from walking long distances unassisted. On the morning of February 1st, 2026, a friend of Nancy Guthrie contacted the victim's family and notified them that Nancy Guthrie had not attended church that morning. Now, why is that important in this conversation?
The not attending church in the context of the Kalela story, or just generally?
Just in generally.
Well, it's a very interesting aspect of the victimology. That something that she did routinely and she didn't do, but it's also interesting because she may be a somebody who leaned on people in the church for support, and they may have some information about dynamics that were going on around her. I think we'd agree, Chris, they might be an interesting source of information when establishing the victimology and why she might be targeted. I don't know if the group disagrees with that, but church groups tend to be supports. Anything else anybody could think of why?
A timeline.
Well, the timeline is different from what the sheriff said. The sheriff originally said that the family arrived at 11 a.m. This affidavit says noon. So what's
that was good.
What's exactly, John, you nailed it. What's missing, right? That was going to be my next question. It's because, again, every word counts.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been asking, what time did they get there? And the sheriff says 11:15-ish. And then it changes to 11:56. Okay. And now look at this. On the morning of February 1st, a friend of Nancy Guthrie contacted the victim family and notified them that Nancy Guthrie had not attended church that morning. But she doesn't say what time that happened. So before noon, they have been trying to, the authorities have been tucking this away through the whole narrative of this entire thing, including in these documents. Because now, why is it important to say what time they entered the home? Why is that not as, or why is the time they got the phone call not as important as the time they entered the home? Typically, this is how it would have read. On the morning of February 1st, 2026, at 09:23 hours, a friend of Nancy Guthrie's, because the first thing a defense attorney is going to say,
On or about
detective, officer, U.S., FBI agent, what time did you get the phone call from the family?
Yes. On or
Friends.
about.
From the family friends. I notice it's not in your report, but I notice you put something, a time in your report. That's why I just want to point that piece of it out. At approximately noon on February 1st, now the timeline creates itself.
Good point.
Nancy Guthrie's family entered her residence and determined.
Thank you, Mr. Dolores.
They determined.
Thank you, Mama.
That she was missing and reported her disappearance to law enforcement.
They determined. To me, that's a weird thing to say, that they determined, right? They determined that this happened. Like, how do they... they determined? Maybe they feared, they thought, but they determined. Just some weird shit going on here.
Law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials inside her home, including her wallet, car, cell phone, hearing aid, and medication. So now we know that the family said her wallet was there.
Horsey,
her car.
Horsey, thank you so very much for the Cash App, honey. That's very kind of you. I really, really appreciate that, my dear. Much love to you. Thank you very, very much, honey.
Car was there. Her cell phone was there. Her hearing aids were there.
Randy, I emailed
and her
back.
medications were there.
Now, I have to tell you, Chris, that bothers me. Is it okay if I make a quick comment on that?
Go. That's why you're here tonight.
That bothers me tremendously because it was a member of the family that told Savannah that it appeared to be an abduction for money, her brother. Now, this is very strange because I cannot imagine anyone thinking that somebody is kidnapped when those things are left there. That's very peculiar. No one would draw that conclusion with those things being left there because they're very basic to her being kept alive. So the conclusion that any reasonable person, I think, forgive me, I don't know what that means. I'm not casting any kind of aspersion, but I have to tell you that I think the average passing individual would say, she's not alive anymore. She needs those things to be alive. Nobody who was keeping her for abduction would leave those things.
That's it. Thank you. And that is precisely what I have said so long. I do not think this is a ransom for abduction. If you wanted Nancy ransom for abduction, you're going to do everything in your power to try to keep Nancy alive, comfortable, all of that. You're going to take her hearing aids. You're going to take her cane. You're going to take her medicine. You're going to make sure everything is good so that she will stay alive, stay happy for the little bit of time you have her. Not just yank her out the damn door and be like, well, if she lives, she lives. If she doesn't, she doesn't. We'll take her and, write a day or two later, we'll write them this ransom letter. Bullshit. No way. It just doesn't make sense to me. Again, they didn't take anything in the house, whether that be anything for Nancy or anything for themselves. They didn't steal anything other than Nancy. The goal was Nancy. The goal, in my opinion, was for her not to be alive any longer. Whether it does have some type of financial motive to it, or she knew something or whatever, but the goal was Nancy. I will never believe this was a ransom for abduction. You want to keep the 84-year-old alive. Nancy was the target. Nancy and Nancy alone. An 84-year-old that has a machine essentially keeping her heart pumping good, because as we get older, our heart is less efficient, right? Our heart's less efficient. And that's why, the circulation is not as good because our heart isn't as efficient and all that. And that machine helps the weak heartbeats as well, right? Be more efficient in pumping. I mean, this woman is going to die without her medication. The medication and this, whatever the thing is in her chest, is going to keep her alive, right? No, they haven't found her Donna. No. Mm-mm. Anna Mountain, thank you, baby. Payday, thank you for always. Oh, thank you so much. You've covered so much this week. Thank you very much, Anne. I appreciate you, darling. Really appreciate you. You're an OG gangsta. Thank you, babies. Much love. Thank you so much, Anne. You're very sweet. Very kind of you, my dear. Yeah, it just... That's why this case does not make sense. Doesn't make sense. And then them being there January 11th as well. It's not random. It's pre-planned. They were watching. They take her out of all days right after she's dropped off. A couple hours.
Things. So I just find that very puzzling.
No way.
Okay. So this is important. This is important. And one of our, I know the chat's already going to catch it. What's not listed in here?
Who the person is who got the phone call?
Well, that too, Gary. Yeah, absolutely. Her Apple Watch.
Right. Exactly. Even though that was used to verify
in the ransom.
Where did the Apple Watch show up?
Uh-huh.
In the ransom note. Okay. This is what is reported. Essential items left in her home, including her wallet, car, cell phone, hearing aids, and medication.
Well,
Thank you,
I mean, is it
Pinky.
possible that they don't think that a
Thank you, my
watch
dear.
is essential?
Well, if it's what's monitoring her heart, I would
Well,
consider that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we got to remember the ransom letters. Chris is talking about this. I've talked about this ad nauseum. This ransom or this letters, they're saying that the Apple Watch is. I think I was one of the first to talk about where the Apple Watch was. People didn't actually believe it when I said at the end of the bed on the floor. Well, it's in the notes, just like Chris said. And then looky here. Something's weird.
But
Something
watching a
stinks.
phone, you know,
Yeah.
kind of go hand in hand. So
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I can't say what case it was I was looking at for the show that I just went to film about, which I did. But because of that case, I became interested in the question of people who supposedly run away, you know, leave you for someone or are abducted, and leave things behind. And I looked in my extensive records here. One of the things I learned is that in staged abductions and in staged runaway situations where the person is actually deceased, almost invariably they leave things like their wallet mysteriously. And it makes people say, who would leave without their wallet? And start to question the story. The wallet is one of these big things that it's very like if you were faking someone running away or being abducted, don't leave their wallet. It's too much of a giveaway that something's at least with the runaway story.
yeah, wallet and cell phone for sure.
Right. It's too odd of a thing. And I was thinking about that and I was like, Now, I suppose with an abduction you could leave it, but you know,
Hold on, I need to back that
now
up just a second.
things that it's very like if you were faking someone running away or being abducted, don't leave their wallet. It's too much of a giveaway that something's at least with the runaway story.
Yeah, wallet and cell phone for sure.
Right. It's too odd of a thing. And I was thinking about that and I was like, Now, I suppose with an abduction you could leave it, but you know, you'd kind of want somebody's ID and cards and things if you were financially motivated, I think, especially if it were a wrench attack.
Okay.
I'm so tired of
great talk. Great.
Who is tired of them talking, like all these people talking about the wrench attacks with Nancy? I cannot even with these wrench attacks. I can't even.
Great concept.
I'm anticipating where you're going, probably.
Okay,
Yes.
This is really important.
Right.
To pay attention to each word and how it's structured by law enforcement and the U.S. attorney here. Because John and I and others, we have done these. A lot of them.
Yes.
Guess what? Let me read this one more time. And determined she was missing and reported her disappearance to law enforcement. 911, what's your call? My mother's missing.
Listen, right here.
Okay, what's your address? We're en route. And now the next piece. What happened? Law enforcement gets there. They're told a narrative. Well, how do you know, what do you mean? What's going on?
Yes.
Look at the verbiage.
Listen.
Law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials inside her home.
Which is the way it's phrased is that she voluntarily left?
Yes. Yes. That Nancy left. Well, Nancy didn't do this on her own accord. How can Nancy, if you're being kidnapped, it's not like, hold on just 1 second. I need to get my wallet before I leave, sir. Just one moment. Let me get my wallet. Let me get my cane. Let me get my medicine. Wherever we're going, let me just get that real quick. Doesn't work that way. She didn't walk away. Sheriff Doofy, the best part of you ran down your mama's leg. Sir, I'm sorry. You are as bright as a burnout light.
It wasn't like she was pulled out and couldn't grab it.
That's a good point, Tom.
And somebody said, well, how do you know she left? Well, her wallet's over here. Her car's here. Her cell phone is here. Her hearing aids are here. And her medication is here.
He's so dumb.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you, Amber, for the jewels.
It doesn't
honey.
does it mention medication?
Yeah, it says medication.
Yeah,
because I mean,
current.
Mentioned.
Look at line 23. Read line 23. And medication.
Cell phone, hearing aid, and medication. So
where's
to
law
Dr. Gary's
enforcement
point,
getting this information?
Where are they getting this information? Nancy Guthrie was last seen inside her residence in Tucson, Arizona on January 31st, 2026. Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old woman with mobility issues that likely precluded her from walking long distances unassisted. On the morning of February 1, 2026, a friend of Nancy Guthrie's contacted the victim's family and notified them that Nancy Guthrie had not attended church that morning. At approximately noon on February 1, 2026, Nancy Guthrie's family entered her residence and determined that she was missing and reported her disappearance to law enforcement. They determined that. Law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials inside of her home, including her wallet, car, cell phone, hearing aid, and medications. Nancy Guthrie's blood was found on the outside of her residence near the porch. On February 2nd, 2026, KOLD, a CBS affiliate in Tucson, Arizona, received a ransom demand via their online tip portal that listed a Bitcoin wallet address to receive the ransom payment. The ransom demanded was made public. On February 4th, Nancy Guthrie's family published a video asking Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers to contact them about their mother.
Law enforcement doesn't know she uses medication until they're told. Well, she's on.
Again, it's I got to agree with Chris with this. And you got to even look at Sheriff Doofy, what he said at the very first press conference. The entire script, essentially, that we have been given, it comes from the family. It does come from the family. And now you can say, well, it's because they know her. And yeah, they do. But he said he was literally reading off what the family said. How about you determine it, Sheriff Nanos? How about that?
On medication. I mean, you just don't show up and go, oh, there's medication. She must use this medication.
Well, she could have had a medication card in the wallet that was left. But
we don't know. We're going by with law enforcement arrived shortly thereafter and determined that Nancy Guthrie had left basic essentials. Well, how did they determine that? You only determine that by asking questions. Okay, is this your mom's wallet? Yes, sir. Is this your mom's car? Yes, sir. Is this your mom's cell phone? Yes, sir. Are these your mom's hearing aids? Yes, sir. Is this your mom's medication? Yes. Well, what about the Apple Watch? Is this your mom's Apple Watch? That somehow inadvertently gets left out in this affidavit.
Very, very good question, right? How did this Apple Watch left out in this affidavit whenever we know that this Apple Watch was at the end of the bed in the floor? We talk about her medication here. We talk about her car. What else do we talk about? Let's see here. Basic essentials in her home: her wallet, her car, her cell phone, her hearing aid, and her medication. But not her watch.
Or this plea agreement.
And
It gets
I gotta
me-
say,
Go ahead,
Chris,
John.
I find this phrasing peculiar, because I think one could make a reasonable assumption that Nancy Guthrie didn't depart the home under her own power. So to
Thank you,
say
Direct Current, for the Sunday
NG had
baby.
left basic
Appreciate you.
essentials inside her home, I may be reading too much into it, and that's certainly possible, but it's certainly a passive way to describe this. It almost suggests that somewhere in the background, we're still entertaining the notion that she might have voluntarily left on her own or been a walkaway. She left these items.
But the family would know pretty quickly, because of her condition, that she wasn't a walkaway or a runaway. I mean, they made that very clear. Savannah made that very clear in interviews. Nobody else has said that, but Savannah has made it very clear that on a good day, she could get to the mailbox. It's a good day.
Right.
So, if it were me and I came home, my grandmother was missing, I would say, and they say, well, is there a chance that she walked away? I would say no chance that she walked away, because, my grandma also uses a walker, and, she doesn't make it more than 100, 200 feet by herself.
Right. And the U.S. attorney covered that in line 19 and 20. They made sure to bring that point up, to your point, exactly where they say Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old woman with mobility issues.
Yes, correct.
That likely preclude her from walking long distances unassisted
in the desert.
So they're
In the middle of the night,
acknowledging
barefoot.
in the middle of at 2:30 in the morning, okay, that she can't walk long distances without being assisted. They put it right there. It's in line 19 and 20 in this document. Okay. So basically, this explains now the sheriff on the first night going, well, she's sharp as a tack, but she really can't go far. She can't go out too far. This makes sense now. The second day, in the second press conference, where the sheriff even reiterates that even further. And now it makes sense when Savannah says she could barely go to the mailbox. And it makes sense now that the girlfriend that day, that morning, actually escorted her to the mailbox to get her mail. And now that when...
Hold on, what? Who escorted her to the mailbox? Of course, they got that info from the family. I don't understand why this is a problem for Chris. It's not so much that it's a problem. It's just that the narrative, which it always does, essentially comes from the family. You know what I mean?
She disappears. This is not a walk away.
Oh, okay.
This is not a walk away. Or is it a walk away? And there was confusion about that. Somebody was confused when they first got on the scene?
I don't know. I am extremely confused with everybody else on this case. I usually, always just flat give it to you the way, but I truly understand both sides. I understand both sides. People that are questioning Annie and Tommaso, and I understand why people don't question Annie and Tommaso as far as like thinking that they might be more involved. Especially when it comes to the Derek thing. So I don't know.
Somebody was confused. Either the cops were confused or the reporting parties were confused. That's kind of an enigma right now. We don't know how that fits into this.
Well, the cops were confused from jump, in my opinion, because they were making it seem like, well, Nancy could have, just walked out of the house. And then you hear Savannah saying, no, we're telling them this is not that kind of, she's not that kind of person. She can't make it to the mailbox. But yet they're still making it seem like, she could have just walked off by herself. But why would Pima County have thought she could have even walked off by herself when there's blood outside, right? Her Apple Watch is in her bedroom. The doors are propped wide open.
Puzzle.
Come on now.
But we have a lot more now in this plea agreement. Go ahead, Joe.
It says on line 18, last seen inside a residence on January 31st.
The thing that's always, again, and I know some people don't agree with what I'm going to say, but Annie and Tommaso were the caregivers of Nancy every single day, right? I just don't believe for a second that they didn't have access to her cameras. I believe that's the whole reason she had cameras on the inside. If she fell, if they were concerned, whatever. Like I said, when the friend called from the church and called Annie and said, "Hey, is your mom okay? We haven't heard from her. She was supposed to be here. She's not." After Annie called Nancy's house and there was no answer, the second thing I would have done was checked the cameras on my phone. And that's what I really want to know. It's one of the big questions I have in this case. Did Annie or Tommaso check the cameras from their phone on the inside? If they didn't and they had access to it, that would be a big clue for me. That would be a very big clue for me. Horsey Love posted in here a few minutes ago that her kid just swallowed magnets. Is Horsey okay? Dispatch call said family had no access to cameras, Justin. Really? I'm trying to remember. Do you have that? I've got it. I'm going to pull that up again.
2026. What time?
Again, great point. They left that piece of the puzzle
something I
out
would
too.
reasonably expect to see in an affidavit.
Yeah. You notice those data points, and we've been asking for those data points from day one. We know what time the garage opened and closed. All right. Well, what time did the family get there? Missing. What time, the cops get there? Missing. But I know what time they got there. And I know that
Can
the
you
sheriff,
send it?
what time the sheriff said. The sheriff said 11 a.m. And the homicide guys got there at 2:00 p.m. in the afternoon. I know that for a fact. Okay. At 2 p.m., 1400, they went, as we used to say, 1097 on the scene. So now we go into the next piece. Nancy Guthrie's blood was found on the.
Okay, so dispatch said family said they had no access to cameras, but did to her phone. So they had like a, what is it, like Life 360 or something? I'm going to play it. 1 second.
The outside of her residence near the porch. Why is that important to put in this plea agreement?
Well, I don't know why any of this is important to put into his plea agreement at all. If it has nothing to do.
Yeah, if it's his contention that he's not in any way connected with this, why is this in the affidavit?
It should be pretty set. I mean, look, the guy was a.
I'm going to come right back to this. Is this the one we're talking about?
Just got a hold of something. We just got a hold of this police scanner audio from when Nancy was first reported missing on Sunday. I want to play it, and then I want to get to you, Brian, on your take on it. Let's take a listen.
Nancy, a white female, 84 years of age, 5'2" medium build, powder blue.
No, Horsey's not a troll. Horsey's not a
After
troll at all.
2,200 hours as of yesterday. Nancy has high blood pressure, pacemaker, and cardiac issues.
Brian, that's key, right? When we talk about the medication, when we talk about the pacemaker, that is a race against time. What did you take away from that audio?
Yeah, I mean, I pick up on the pacemaker comment. We've reported that she has the pacemaker, that it connected to the Apple Watch, that the Apple Watch was charging, and that the last time the pacemaker connected to the Apple Watch was around 2 a.m., which is presumably around the time she was kidnapped, because that's why it stopped connecting to the Apple Watch. So that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was listening to it. But yeah, it's key just because she's an 84-year-old woman who needs her medication. And I think that's one of the reasons they're.
Horsey, you good? Okay, please keep us posted, Horsey. Please keep us posted. I hope everything's okay. Oh, God. Bless you, honey. Thank you so much, darling. Oh, thank you, love. Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you. I think he does. Him and Tommaso's band played in this. It wouldn't surprise me, but I haven't seen that. Actually, hold on.
It's sort of a race against time here. As more time passes and she doesn't have the medicine, it just, the outcome looks more and more grim.
Okay. Let me find that other one. Let's go back to this.
Drug addict who tried to extort money, who had nothing to do with the case. We don't need the details of anything else. That's so, throwing all this in there seems like they obviously are doing it for a reason.
Well, what looking for foundational.
See, I don't think cartel. My opinion.
What is the day and time that the call comes vis-a-vis the abduction or the vanishment?
Well, it doesn't say in this.
That's odd.
Well, there's a lot of odd here. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
No, but I mean, John, don't you think it's peculiar that they don't tell you when this happened? Vis-a-vis her being gone? And how would this person know so quickly? Was it public?
603. I want to know who that other person is too. Trust. I just don't. I've done everything I know to do.
Public knowledge yet?
Well, exactly. And well, it had probably made the media, but the mere presence of this information suggests that there's something else occurring. I would also go back to NG was last seen inside her residence in Tucson. Who saw her? That's another thing. Who was the person who we can affirmatively say saw her?
No, but the part that's puzzling me is if a complete stranger sees in the newspaper this case, their takeaway would be, this is the mother of a wealthy, famous person. Let me contact Savannah Guthrie.
Yeah,
the story that we're being told, that the person sees this story and then decides to reach out to a sibling and their husband after finding their name on the internet, that's odd. I think it's reasonable that the person you'd reach out to is the one with the money and the notoriety, because you would muscle them for money. That makes sense. It's very odd to ask I can't explain precisely why that's weird.
Because it eludes explanation. And the other thing is, Gary, is that just purely from a point of view of somebody who isn't operating with a belt-sized IQ, and I've said this before, you've got the biggest kidnapping being reported on the planet. In what alternate universe does this guy decide, I don't know these people, but I'm going to jump feet first right into this boiling volcanic caldera in the hope that I can get some money? It just doesn't make any sense. I'm wondering if he did.
And that's why, this case, that's why it's so confusing for me, because I just don't think, I think it's weird that, Derek did this, but he was also supposedly high as hell. Exact Sleuth Fairy Ruggs. He was supposedly high as hell when he did this. I don't understand why Derek, if he was involved with Annie and Tommaso with this, why he would text them and say, hey, could you give me those that, we're waiting for the Bitcoin money. And then Annie and Tommaso say, okay, let me turn this in. And they catch him, Derek. Well, Derek's going to sing like a canary. How do we know that Tommaso didn't go and drop her stuff off and go back at 2 a.m. and drop her phone off and she never made it home? I mean, I think she made it home, probably. Some people don't believe she made it home. I believe she made it home. With the blood and then her stuff in the house and with this guy at the door and activity in the backyard and stuff like that. I just think she made it at the house. And I think they were watching her allegedly weeks prior to this happening as well. If she was taken from her bed, she made it home, in my opinion. Yeah. Her shoes was still there as well, But I don't know.
Didn't think that when he contacted where the two texts went, that perhaps he was surprised that they reported it to the police. He may have expected that they'd be held that they would have maintained the communication as being confidential.
Well, and here's the other thing for this document. I understand that there should be some context to why this person tried to commit this crime, but not at this detail. Not at the detail level that's here.
Lady Justice, thank you so much for your jewels.
Timeline is going to be important for understanding.
Leslie,
the call,
thank you for
we
the
don't
jewels, babe.
now yet.
Tina,
Look, the document's fine. It's the cursory information that they're choosing to put into the narrative.
Right.
That's that, and trust me, if there's a deal or something that this guy had made, or the cops have made, or they're working him as a CI, or they're flushing him into something else, maybe this is a DEA thing. It's a bigger problem. And what they're trying to do is just kind of make sure that we're transparent, but you can't see behind the curtain. That's the reason I'm raising this issue. And
could it be camouflage, as you say, for a bigger DEA operation?
Yeah, I mean, if you showed this to 50 attorneys, they'd go, "Yeah, what's the problem?" Okay. Well, we just saw how it works in court today. That's the problem. Attorneys and cops, we think differently. We bring information to attorneys, and then they try to figure it out how they're going to present it in a court of law. Okay. But, in law enforcement, again, you're looking for things, you're smelling things, you're seeing things that, quite frankly, they don't see. Okay. Because they're in a court of law and we're out in the field trying to catch the lion. So once these things get down into, the nitty gritty like this, and it's put down on paper, well, that's when you start saying, okay, wait a minute. If the watch is so important, i.e. in the ransom note, why is it left out in this particular document? You would think that's a huge piece of the puzzle, just saying, seeing how the next day that they get a ransom note that says, "Oh, let me tell you why I am the abductor." Okay, it's because I know she had an Apple Watch, and also I know that the back, light is disturbed. Okay?
Well, I mean,
anybody.
I know that Tegan, you're not if I'm understanding you right. What are the details about this needed in Derek's paperwork for his court appearance? I wonder if it is preparation for something further. It's just weird. Well, they've got on the paperwork, they've got to set the tone for it, how this came about. Nancy Guthrie went missing, or was last seen January 30th, 2026 at her home, and and how this person got to knowing about Nancy, right? So I think that they had to set it up for the paperwork.
But he could say that if they'd been to the house. Anyone could have said that. Anybody could have said that if they'd been to the house. That's why it's important. And when you don't see things like that, it becomes really important. Because those are the types of items they're trying to prevent the suspect from seeing. Because the suspect put it in a note that could be real or not real. We're not sure where that's going to go. Okay. So if we go now, the very next day, what happens? February 2nd, KOLD, a CBS affiliate in Tucson, Arizona, receives a ransom demand via their on.
Okay. Thank you for sending me that. 1 second here. Let me pop this up.
Rescue involved. It's Southwest, and I'll stay on the sure. Again,
this is
if you want to stick to the neighborhoods northwest, 842, you can take
1 second.
the Southwest, and I'll stay on the east portion on Campbell neighborhood.
Okay, so let's move on. I will let you guys hear this one. This is around the 12:47 mark.
Try not to disturb any of the items in the house. We're getting a hold of a scent tracking dog, so try to stay away from the blood outside.
Okay, so this is broadcastify February 1st, estimated time 12:45 p.m. Try not to disturb any of the items in the house. We're getting a hold of a scent tracking dog, so try to stay away from the outside and anything inside the house that could
I
hold
did
a scent.
anything inside the house that could hold a scent. Copy.
A rough estimate, it's at 12:47 in the afternoon. And it sounds to me like they're still continuing the search, but now this official saying, hey, try not to disturb anything on the property. We're going to get a scent tracking dog. And we all know that the dog came because remember we saw Nancy's shirt out in front in Bryanton and Fox News digital video, that blue shirt. So this is what we're guessing is happening at this time. And this is the next one. This is again sometime around 12:47, maybe 12:50. I can't give an exact time.
Can you start checking any adjacent properties to see if anyone's got cameras that might be facing this way? Family here does not have access to the cameras.
Okay, I had not heard this one before. Can we start checking adjacent properties to see if anyone's got cameras that might be facing this way? Family does not have access to the camera on the property. You better hope and pray that A&T had never went into that camera system. I'm sorry, that just seems weird to me. You take care of her, but you don't have... Okay, why did Nancy have cameras inside of her home then? It is me too, Ratui. Like, to me, like, you take care of her and she's got cameras inside of a fucking home? But you don't have access to it.
It's on the property.
I thought this particular statement was very interesting because the law enforcement official says, can we start checking the adjacent properties? Family here does not have access to the cameras on the property.
Yes, they did. They did.
So I found this interesting because from what we understood is that they didn't have a subscription. So I don't know if family is there saying, well, we don't have access to the cameras, so we can't check the cameras. But then again, the cameras, weren't they broken by this point? According to like different sources, the backyard cameras,
well, Michael,
the front one was not.
Hold on. Michael, I'll let you go to your gay bathhouse with Magic Johnson if that's what you choose. But you're not going to talk about that shit here. Okay, moving forward.
There.
Have fun
So
with
they're
that.
probably like, well, we also don't have, not only are the cameras not here, but we don't have access to them. The law enforcement official is saying that the family is sane.
That's true.
Allegedly. Because we don't know if this is even related to the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. This could be a completely different call altogether. What do you guys think? Okay, now this is the next one that I picked up on. Again, this is your
Here. Keen inside, they were able to get into the phone. Also, Keen is here.
Here.
Inside, they were able.
Okay. This one's interesting, right? Right here. Estimated time 12:45 February 1st, inaudible. They were able to get into the phone. Also, Kane is here. I did too, Greenhouse. We got him. Thank you, Jim. They were able to get inside the phone. You're able to get inside of her phone, but you're not able to get in front of the cameras.
To get into the phone. Also, Kane is here.
Here we can listen to the law enforcement officials saying they were able to get into the phone. Also, Kane is here. So what I'm guessing is that by this point, the family's gotten into Nancy's phone. Oh, and by the way, her cane is also here. So just, and this is all
Yeah,
stuff
well, that's
we
what
already...
AMG, that's what we're talking about. If you listen to these dispatch calls, the family is saying that they could not get into the camera systems. Good point. You would think, right, Sandwich? I mean, on my phone, I can go to my cameras right now from my phone, pull up the app. That's a very good point. Right? If they could get in Nancy's phone, the family, why couldn't they just went to that app and look at the cameras from her phone?
No, right? They said that her cane and all her belongings, her basic essentials were all left behind. So we knew that. So here is the next sequence.
Negative Jane Doe's on all the local ERs and hospitals. 10-4, thank you.
So this means...
So they're just saying there that she's, hold on. What time was that? Wait a second. 1:17 p.m., February 1st. So within an hour and 17 minutes, they've already checked all the hospitals, and they've said Nancy's not at any of these. Clippy, thank you for the gift, babies. Appreciate you very, very much. Very kind of you, my dear. Yvette says, am I wrong? Did Nano say early on that the cameras inside weren't on? So it didn't record. The only thing that they had from the inside was right before the police showed up. Nyla, thank you for the 200 joules, my dear. Amber, thank you for the floating heart. 603, thank you for the stars. Amber, thank you for the stars. Direct current, thank you for the sunshine. Oh, Mr. Sun, Mr. Golden Sun. Amber, thank you for the heart, darling. And direct current, thank you for the Sunday. Deblong, thank you for the finger heart, my darlings. Appreciate you very, very much. Very weird.
Jane Doe's on all the local ERs and hospitals. 10-4, thank you.
No
so
ERs,
this means
no
that
hospital.
by about 1:17, that dispatchers or whomever was tasked with the job of searching the hospitals, they said, hey, we're...
Within an hour and 17 minutes, nothing. Cosmic, thank you for the flower, my dear. Kim, thank you for the 6-7. And Linda, thank you for the jewels as well, my darling. Appreciate you.
We looked. Okay, wait. The dispatcher says, hey, negative on all the Jane Does on the hospital. So by this point, what I'm guessing is that a dispatcher or somebody there was tasked with calling all the hospitals and ERs or whatever, and
yes,
they didn't find her, right? There's no Jane Doe at any of these hospitals. So it sounds to...
Wait a second. Yes, in the very beginning, it was reported that Nancy got an alert on her phone. Back door was open. I don't know if they said, did they say phone though? This case will drive you nutty, Lake. It really will. It will drive you nuts. Savannah said she called the hospitals as well as Annie. Yes. Okay. So that is true, right? Savannah said her sister called and said the police are here. Did you call the hospitals or anything? And she's like, we already have. And she's like, well, I want to do that as well. Maybe this was the time when she said that they had already called the hospitals, meaning Annie, the 117. Justin, if they had access to her phone, they'd have went through the calls, logged to see. Yeah, exactly. If Annie and Tommaso, which allegedly, if these, are from Nancy Guthrie's case, she just went through the dispatch calls for that area. And seemingly, in my opinion, this is for Nancy Guthrie's case. They said that they could get in the phone. You would check, right? Did mom call anybody? Did she call the hospital? Did she call a neighbor for help? But no.
To me, like, just going back really quick, it sounds to me like at 12:17, estimated time of 12:17, a law enforcement official asks, hey, can we check priority transports or hospitals? Then by about 1:17, an hour later, they come back and say, nope, there's
thank you all.
There's no Jane Does at any of these hospitals.
None.
And just again, I want to keep saying this. This might not even be related to Nancy Guthrie. However,
I think it is.
There's a good chance. I don't even want to say that because I don't know. It's just what I narrowed it down to. So if this part about the calling all the hospitals is correct, or what I feel are the two conversations from dispatchers to PD, it took about an hour, it sounds like, to call all the hospitals. Depending on who was tasked with that job, if it was just like another dispatcher, they're probably obviously having to do calls in between, or I don't know how that works. I don't work for the department, so I'm not sure if it was like maybe an intern or somebody, hey, can you guys call? Can you do me a favor? Go call these hospitals and look and see if there's a woman by this name or description there. But
yeah. Justin, another thing, why is Annie busy from 5 p.m., busy at 9 to 9 p.m.? Well, she's busy at 5 p.m. because Nancy drives over in an Uber, busy at 9 p.m. because Tommaso drives Nancy back, unable to pick up her mom or drop her off, and she was technically not seen from 5 p.m. to 11 a.m. the next day. Where was she? I don't know. But, it kind of goes to the fact that the way I see it, you would think that they would be able to have cleared Annie and Tommaso very quickly, as far as being directly, physically involved in Nancy's case. Right? Why do I say that? Because this guy is clearly not Tommaso. And Tommaso drops Mrs. Guthrie off 9-something at night. He goes home. He stays home the rest of the night. Doesn't leave. Annie doesn't leave. You should be able to see that on their vehicle data, on any camera data at their home and or the neighbor's property. And if they didn't leave after they dropped Nancy off, why did they go to their house and search in the garage? Why did they were there with forensic kits? Why were they looking at the neighbor's cameras, the neighbors' properties, the neighbors' campers, the yards, and all of this. And Auntie are each other's only alibi. Maybe. That's the way it seems. It's weird, man. It's weird. There's a lot of weird things in this case. But why are they, at Derek's and all this
Either
stuff?
way, it was an hour later when they came back with that. Nope, she's not in any of these hospitals or ERs. And I wrote down here, this doesn't match Annie's story about calling all the hospitals unless she pretended that they are the ones who called and it was really dispatch who called for them. Because I'm also guessing that by this point, Savannah still had not been called yet. So mind you, all this is happening, and yet Savannah, if we listen back to when she says that she got home in the evening, at this point, it doesn't, I don't believe that Savannah knew that all this was happening at her mom's house. Okay, so those are all the frequencies. Those are all the radio frequencies that I came across. And is it all of the frequencies from February 1st? No, because there's so much that I have not been able to go through. And there's so many conversations that for whatever reason do not get transmitted, whether it's bad reception or it just didn't catch, you didn't catch it. So those are the ones that I could kind of narrow down to being possibly related to the day that Nancy Guthrie disappeared. Are they even related
Let me
to
go to my map.
the
I
Nancy
wanna see
Guthrie
something.
disappearance? There's
Pull
no
this
way
up.
of knowing. Only the department would know what call this is pertaining to, what call that frequency is pertaining to. But I
Okay.
wanted to put them out there and kind of give people just a little bit of a timeline, a little snippet, a little picture
Bear
of
with me while I pull this
what
up.
possibly was happening that day as it pertains to the call, the time when police got there, the search, the request for the dog, request for search and rescue, the searching of the neighborhoods, the don't disturb anything in the house. The blood is also mentioned in one of those transmissions. And the Jane Doe's being looked at, or the search for Nancy at various hospitals. The search for Jane Doe's at various hospitals.
Okay. This is Annie and their home, right? When was this taken? September 2025. There's got to be some cameras somewhere around here. Did they have cameras at their house? A&T. I thought there was something on one of the gates here or something. There was a camera, if I remember correctly. Let's go north. Okay. Okay. How many ways can you get out of this here? If you go out here, you gotta go up here. Isn't there a gas station like right up there? Like someone, they've got to be able to know if Annie and Tommaso didn't leave. that night. Got 1 second. Here was one of the FBI searches. This area. Where is this right here? The FBI was searching right here. Let me look at chat real quick. Annie and T had the cameras. We all do. Yeah. Yeah, the Circle K. I mean, and that's the thing. The Circle K, obviously, they've got cameras. If they didn't leave throughout the night, I love those cactuses. Sorry. Why didn't they? Why did they keep? I guess hounding them, Annie and Tommaso. It doesn't make sense. They should have asked the neighbors to check it. Oh, they did. The FBI went there. And was looking all around. And here's where that woman is that was wanted for that kidnapping. By the way, and this was the actual kidnapping incident. It's just crazy. This is the chevron right here. Where was it? 1 second. I don't know, guys. It's crazy. Oh, I need to take that off. 1 second. I'm thinking something happened at Annie's home. Cameras taking photos in Annie's home. Play what? I love what? Chris went to the Circle K to show. Yeah, I showed that one right there. Let me pull this up. It's weird. Oh, I wanted to show you this as well. Do you guys remember that guy in the car? Do you remember the guy in the car that someone wrote this? And again, I just thought it was interesting. Question: do you all have good eyes? Do these guys look alike to you? This is the guy in the car that pulled up to 857 Tucson about a week or so after Nancy Guthrie went missing. The guy asked 857 if he was TMZ, then asked if he would make him famous. He also asked how the neighbors felt about everything. Words may not be exact, but I watched the live and remembered him. Strange guy. He was on the phone with someone at the time. Also recall, I think, him saying something about making deliveries there. He did. Or around there. No accusations intended, maybe worth something looking into. What's the link that they provided? Okay, it's not up there now. Okay. This guy. Is that the same guy? What did Alex say here? That was so weird, man. Yeah. That the lady had, there was one saying that A&T got into the house from the front door. They didn't see the blood. Oh. Okay. Tommaso and the other two brothers, that's why the family is from Italy and Nubia. Is the hairline the same? He's got shorter hair. He's younger here, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. see this, like this little thing right there. He's got it right there. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. He doesn't have much of an upper lip either, but he's got a bottom lip. I don't know, that guy's weird. Yeah, I think it's the same guy. I just think it's an older one. When I heard nothing was taken from her home and everything was left behind, it made me worry that much more. 1,000%. They do say the perp always goes back to the scene. It's just so strange how he asks, are you TMZ? Okay, then. I just don't get that. I really don't. All right, guys, we're going to end it here. I may... Well, what time is it? 9:15. I may come back later in a little bit, and we might talk about the 16 out of Ohio. I want to get on that, but if not, we'll definitely talk about it, Lord willing, tomorrow. Nancy Guthrie case, it's one for the books, because people just don't abduct 84-year-old women, especially where she lived in the middle of a road that it's really complicated to get out. So, 603, thank you for your gift, my darling. Appreciate you very much. You are a rock star. You think he looks like the porch guy, beauty lover? Maybe. I think porch guy is certainly in my, I don't know if he's like a white guy, Latina guy, a Middle Eastern guy. I think I don't know. Then TMZ gets a random letter. Yes, Michelle. Exactly. But I do think the FBI is on it, and I think they will find it. Tom will help anyone get in and out of there without being tracked. Yeah, but you just don't pick that house, especially looking 2 weeks beforehand. I'm thinking Mexican maybe. But I'll tell you one thing. I do not believe for a second this guy is homeless. To me, he's too much of, he cares too much about his looks. I don't think he's homeless. I think he might sell rugs, be linked with rugs. I think money is a motivator for him. How did Cameron know that there was a person that needed to be pled with, and that the next day a ransom letter was sent? I agree. Might be Italian. Well, you want to do a panel with me, Sandwich? We'll do a panel. I can. I should ask Chris and they'll let him to come up and stuff like that, but I just never do. I might have Dr. Vaughn. I'm supposed to be on her panel soon. Fuck, I just remembered that. I gotta email her back or text her. She's gonna come on as well. There's so much going on right now. Don't tire myself out emotionally. Well, Miss Eureka, I've been tired since 1976 emotionally. And I'm trying to get all my live streams and stuff in, because next week is my birthday and I might be out for a day or two. I don't know. But I usually go live even when I'm on vacation. You want to do a panel, Deb? We'll do a panel. Sure. Oh, thank you, Lolo. Oyster shucking is hard work. It really is, Sandwich. It really is. You only look about 35. Am I doing any rock hounding? You damn right. Yeah, I'll take you guys rock hounding with me. I love rock hounding. And I'm going to do some beach hounding too, probably. Banana shakes and oyster shuckers. Oh, thank you, darling. All right, guys. Much love, everyone. 24-hour stream. The only way I'm doing a 24-hour stream is if it's for like charity or something. I'll do it. Maybe that. Fall over it during a 24-hour stream. Yeah, I'm turning 21. 21. Oh, thank you, Mr. Rick. All right, guys. Much love, everyone. Appreciate you. I might be back in a little bit. We'll see. Much love. If not, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hit the thumbs up. Share. All that stuff. Thank you, guys. Thank you, mods, members, everyone in chat. Thank you all for your support, your gifts, all that. Thank you for being here. You only get so many trips around the sun. Good night. God bless.